What's going on, everybody? It's your man Cleveland Terry, and today we're going to be reviewing the newly announced Pioneer DJ PLX-CRSS12, the new flagship turntable coming from Pioneer DJ. But let's see what kind of spin they put on it. Let's talk about it. Once again, if you're new here, this is what we do. We talk about all things DJ related, whether that be DJ gear reviews, DJ gig logs, and or Tech 101, talking about the gear live every Thursday. If that sounds like something you're interested in, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button also, and hit the notification button so you know exactly when I post new content. Now, we all know turntables have been around for a long time. We all know that phase has been around. Also, the Rain 12s have been around. But the one thing that a lot of people have asked for, maybe even complained about, is the fact that they have to make a choice. There's been this weird, what should I buy situation? Because some people have turntables and they have vinyl, or they have the Rain 12, but they were interested in maybe picking up vinyl. Herein lies the problem. So Pioneer DJ has taken a very, very strong look and has created a platform that I think is going to work for everyone. Now, if you're looking at this turntable and you were comparing it to maybe a PLX-1000 or a Rain 12, what you're going to see is they are identical in size. As a matter of fact, they're the exact same width and depth and actual height. It might be off by a couple of little millimeters, but they're virtually the same, which means you won't have to get a different flight case to support them. If they use regular turntable flight cases, the CRSS12s will work in there. Obviously, Pioneer DJ has gone the traditional route with the curved tone arm. It's pretty much an OEM to your standard Technics 1200s. And if you've used the PLX 1000s, the feel is pretty much exactly the same when dealing with tone arms and needles. The difference is going to fall into an enhanced motor and a couple of other little features that weren't on the PLX. So let's talk about the exterior. On the face, we still have our standard tone arm, our adjustments, our pitch, our tempo range, our reset button right here. We have this button here, which is the step pitch, which we will talk about. And then we have our display panel, which allows us to change the decks, change if it's analog to digital vinyl, all of these things, the settings internally. So we'll talk about that in a little detail too. Falling down, we have our light pitch, which actually has a 2-step light, which gives you even more information on the status of the playback. Now, they have gone away with the traditional motor off knob. They've chosen to elect for a button. Works the same, maybe a little bit different, but exactly the same. But the difference is now when your motor's off, if you just hit the start stop button, it will activate the motor so you don't have to turn it on and then hit the start button. So that's a nice little addition you can't find on other things. Moving over, we have our pad modes here, which, as we know, this is the first Pioneer DJ turntable that has had pad modes in here. So everything that's kind of on this section is here. And then we have the stems buttons, which allows for, obviously, stem playback. Now, if you notice up at the top here, there is a 5 through 8. This is basically the second pad mode. And you just switch that and you notice that the pads will change. So this is a great feature if you want to do standard mutes or the stem effects. Also on the secondary page, you do have the ability to do instant doubles and your scratch bank. Your sampler still remains. On the front panel, we have our brake setting here. We have 3 different settings for braking, and we'll kind of show you the difference. Now, the normal brake is this. We can increase it. And then one more time. All right. Now, if we were to use the motor off function, and because of the fact that we do have 3 different torque settings, it does allow for either low, mid, or high. This is on the high setting. I do prefer the high setting on the PLXs. It just feels better, but you can hear kind of the start and stop and how fast that it does start up because it has a very, very strong motor in it. Now on the side or the top, depending on how you set it up, we do have the power supply. Now this is set up in battle mode. Although you can change it through battle mode, I do find that it just seems to work better. Your RCAs do sit in the front with the ground and they do give you a nice RCA with the ground already attached. So going back to the power side, you're probably going to say, well, if the power's on this side and this is on this side, well, there's going to be a problem. Pioneer DJ has thought about that, and they've created a routing system, kind of a channel that you can run your cords through so they're out of the way, but you can kind of set it up under any configuration and everybody's happy. Now, back on the front side here, we do have your RCAs, as I just said. We have our ground, and then we have the USB-C port. Now, the USB-C port is for, obviously, MIDI, your cue points and your stems and all of that. Pretty straightforward, pretty straightforward. Okay, let's move over to the top panel again. Let's just look at the utilities here. Now, on this settings panel, it gives you the ability to change from digital vinyl to analog. It usually defaults to analog when you first turn it on. And then under your deck, you can change which deck you are using it on. It goes up to 4 decks, and you have your tempo range, which allows you to set it, obviously, 8, 16, plus 50. Now, if we go into applications, you do have the ability to change from record box to Serato with the tap of a button. And then we have our pitch fader, which very, very smooth. Actually, an incredibly smooth pitch fader. There is no center click, and to be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure why certain things get center clicks and others don't, but the turntables do not have a center click. You do have your reset button right there, which zeroes it out. The step pitch is interesting because basically what it does is it changes your tempo range from +8 or +16 or +50, whatever you're using, to a ±33, and then it allows you to lock your steps on a normal pitch as you're heading up and down with pitch lock on. It does nothing because your pitch is locked on. So let's turn off the pitch. As you notice, if I get to 2, all right, now let's turn on step pitch. Without it on. So if you're doing some cool tone play stuff and that's your jam and you got imagination and technique far greater than mine, well, this is going to be a nice little treat for you. Now let's take a look at under the hood. We're going to move to this one because I've already done the work on this one. But we have here slightly different setup than your normal Techniques or even your PLXs. If we remove the wheel here, it's a little different. If you're looking at your PLXs, it's really the center stem that's kind of moving everything. This one is locked to this motor. Resembles the Rev 7, however, it's still the PLX. It is an updated, upgraded PLX motor, and you can definitely feel it. It's just much smoother than the PLX was. Now, let's put the top back on, and as you see here, you have all of these screw points. Yes, we have to use screws, sorry. But we have all these screw points, and then we have this kind of middle screw. This is the locking screw that's found right here. You just line them up, and you're gonna put them together. Let me just find it. There we go. Okay, I do want to mention though, that it does come with screws. It's gonna be hard to see these little screws right here. But these are not your traditional screws, which means that you're not going to be able to use like your standard screwdriver. It's not excessive, but you do need a very small tipped screwdriver in order to make this work. So I had to use my computer screwdriver. It was the only thing that made it. And you can see the size of this thing. It's very, very small. But if you have one, you're good. I just want to tell you that. So when you do get yours, make sure you have some sort of a small screwdriver that can lock everything in place. FYI, it still comes with your standard Pioneer DJ slip mats. I'm not the biggest fan of them. They're a little hard for my taste, so I am using the innovators, but it does come with slip mats. Let's take you back one more time to the settings. Now, once you hold this deck button down, it brings you into your settings, and you can change the information here from there. So the shift is enter, and then your hot cue and your sampler are your navigation. So if we move over, we got torque adjust. We hit enter, it's set to high. As I said, you do have high, medium, and low. And we have our LED brightness, and it's on 1. It goes all the way up to 3. It's set to 1. 1's probably fine, especially if you're going to be in a nightclub or something like that. And then your auto standby, which is how it goes to sleep, and then your factory reset, and the version that we are currently on. And that's it. Very straightforward. Now, with your records, obviously you have to be on analog mode. Coming from a person like me that is nowhere near a good scratcher and can be heavy-handed, the tone arm, everything, it feels good. It's locked on. I'm not really getting any skipping. And again, I'm a heavy-handed DJ, so if I'm heavy-handed and it's not moving, you know, your mileage may vary. Now, we'll do a sound test in a moment because I do have to take this off and put a PLX-1000 on so you can kind of hear the difference. Okay. So what I'm observing is the frequency response is better on the new boards. You can hear the low ends better, the frequencies in between are better. It's a little more sterile coming from the PLX-1000, which wasn't a bad turntable at all, but I'm definitely hearing an improvement on the Cross-12. Might be subtle. There's not only so much I can talk about as far as the turntable. I mean, if you like the PLX-1000s, you're gonna like this one, but that's not why this one is important today. That is where this thing shines above everybody else, because this guy right here, this is your key here. Now this is the locking mechanism that you put onto the record to hold it in place. It goes simply like this. You hold it on, there is a magnet on both of these sides here that pulls it in, and it locks it into place. And then you have the ability to change the resistance of the vinyl. I can move this all the way over to light, and there is a stopping point, and if you can look, you can see how it almost gets pushed down as you tighten it up. So that makes it heavier and heavier, but lighter. All right, let me go heavy, do the same thing. Back to light so you can see the difference one more time. So, as I said before, as you move it, it tightens up the record. Now, how does it tighten up the record? Well, let me lift this off so you can see what's going on here. Now, this panel right here is actually moving, and as I come closer to it, you can see the panel actually lifts up. Because what's going on is, it's holding the record in place by this metal and this magnet. So it's basically, essentially, pulling the other piece together like a pancake and holding it together. It's not going anywhere, it's locked in place. And it makes the record super stable. Yes, you can still pull it up because it is just a magnet, but it's really, really, really sturdy. Now, a couple of things to know before we go any further. There is no HID mode in this, okay? This is strictly a timecode controller. Now, what does that mean? That means that you can use timecode on any application, which means it doesn't just work in Rekordbox, it doesn't just work in Serato. Anything that will take that timecode will play on this, which means you can use it on Algorithm DJ. You can use it maybe even on Tractor. I'm assuming, and this is me just assuming, that because it is this MIDI out, you'll be able to MIDI map these buttons to do whatever you want. It does have a marker right here, so you can use that as your indicator of where the record is. As I move over to the stems, I just hold down Shift and hot cue, and I do get my stems. If I hit the 5 to 8, and then your sampler. So let's talk about my experience using these. Now, again, I've had them for a limited time, so this is a first use. This is a kind of first review. Not much to talk about. As long as they do the things that they're supposed to do, I'm happy. Meaning, my needles are locked on, the tone arm feels good. When I go to digital vinyl, it does exactly what I need it to. As far as the tempos are concerned, let's do that real quick. All right, this one with anti-drift off. We're good with drift on and off. All right, so let's check a beat real quick. Now this is with anti-drift off, and we are at 1 minute and 21 seconds, and it's pretty much still dead on. Let's turn on anti-drift. And bring it back. Now, obviously with anti-drift on, it's going to compensate for any mathematical issues and errors, but we're over 1 minute. We're more than enough. So basically what it appears is that it's dead on no matter if you use anti-drift or not. Yeah, there's going to be some slight variation if you're rocking completely anti-drift, but in general, for beat juggles and for long blends, this time code is rock solid. These motors are right on point, and they're doing exactly what they need to be. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I am a fan. Now, what are the drawbacks of this system versus others? Well, there are no drawbacks. I mean, if you're using Technics 1200s or PLX-1000s or the Rain 12s, you're going to get and feel exactly the same. You're getting the best of both worlds with the cross. As far as anything analog or digital, as far as turntables are concerned, this is honestly the best of both worlds. Now, if you are in love with it, the one thing that's going to hurt your soul and your wallet or pocketbook is the price. We are talking about $13.99 for this guy. So if you're doing the math, it's essentially you buying a PLX-1000 or Technics 1200, getting yourself a phase, and getting yourself maybe even an SP1. All of that is built into this one single price. So if you are new to this and going like, I want to get turntables, but I also like the Rain 12s, well, to me, it's a no-brainer. This is the one you get because this is the only one that does both. And if you're somebody like me that has both digital stuff and vinyl stuff that you want to use, but you can't because you have a 12, this is definitely an option for you. As a matter of fact, it's one of the chief reasons that I never bought a 12. One of the reasons, because I have vinyl. I like the ability to play vinyl. Even if I don't play vinyl all that much, I still want the ability to do that. And people have been complaining about this. Pioneer DJ listened and put these guys out. This is a great, great system, albeit expensive. I'm not gonna lie to you, $13.99 for one is not cheap. Now we're $1,400, we're $2,800, and we're $2,000. So now, you know, for this system, you're putting on a pretty penny. But you don't have to have a S11. You could have an S5. You can have an S7. You can have a Rain 70. They will work with all the mixers. So if you already have your mixer and you just want to update your tables, this is a really, really good choice. Now, for me, I would still personally probably own Phase, because if you're a DJ, a working DJ that goes out and works at places, well, chances are you're not going to bring your turntables to that. But if you're a mobile guy and you like the option of using turntables, but you don't really want to have to deal with needles and vinyl, and you got all the air and CO2 and cold sparklers, and it's getting all in your needles and messing up your jam. Well, you can just switch to digital and have the best of both worlds. So big fan of these, big fan of these. Pricey, yes, not the end of the world pricey, definitely not, but definitely gonna hurt your pockets a little bit. Let me know in the chat what you guys think about this guy. Let me know what you think about the price. Let me know what you think about the setup itself. Is this something that you would buy or interested in? If anybody is looking for turntables, would this be one that you would take a look at? Leave it in the comments below. Also, if you're going to be at the DJ Expo, because we are filming this prior to the Expo, but they will have the Cross 12s there along with some other things. So get out there. You're not going to be able to test these at a lot of places, especially with the supply chain the way it is. So I would say if you were thinking about going to Atlantic City, you definitely want to go now to test these guys out and see if they're right for you. All right, guys and girls, if you found what I said here useful, hit that like button. If you found what I said here really useful, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow me on the Instagrams and the Twitters. Get on my Discord, because that's where we're talking about all things Cleveland Terry. And of course, the live show that happens every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is DJ Tech Thursdays. We'll see you there. Guys, girls, always a pleasure. If I don't talk to you later, we'll talk soon. Peace.